Crystal Ketchum with Hip Hop Weekly, and my guest today, you know, from the hit 90s movie House Party, or the dynamic duo that brought us the Kick Step Kid and Play. My guest today is no other than Mr. Christopher Play Martin. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm so excited to sit down with you. Like, you inspired this outfit. I watched House Party and was like, okay,
I did a good job.
Thank you. I was trying to channel my inner Tisha Campbell Martin.
There you go. You've done it. You've done it. Yeah.
Thank you. So, I read recently you did a show in Coney Island, right?
Yeah, we did. Did we? No, that one got canceled. As a matter of fact, no, that one got postponed. No, we didn't. We didn't do that one actually. But we did just do Roy Wilkins Park. It's a very famous park in New York and Queens, and we just
I definitely know
celebrated a big 35th anniversary for Ralph McDaniels and a lot of well-known hip hop artists. We were very fortunate enough to all just come together and do our thing and celebrate the great contributions that. If I don't know how many of us would have made it if it wasn't for Ralph McDaniels and the whole Video Music Box thing. But that was recent. Yeah.
What's it like when you go back to New York?
New York is different. I can't be there past 4 or 5 days.
Really?
I'm in
Queens.
Well, yeah, that's true. But Queens and New York has changed so much. It's not the nostalgic, memorable place that I know and love in my imagination and in my memories. It's a very different place, but I'm in a place of peace, and it's a lot of stress. It's so interesting because, you know, where I've lived, you know, if you honk a horn, people will look at you like you're from outer space. Like, what is that noise that's come from your car, from your vehicle? But when you're in New York, I mean, the minute the traffic light turns to green, someone's honking on the horn, you know, and it's just, and then when you listen to the radio, they're screaming at you with the commercials and stuff. So it's like, it took me a while to realize, you know, the contrast of the two. But New York, I'll always be in New York in heart. It feels good when I'm in other states and cities and people say, I can tell you from New York by the way you talk. And I'm glad that's still there, you know, so.
So did you guys perform?
Most definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's it like for you guys now preparing for a show compared to back in the day when you guys first started?
Well, I think we're a lot more appreciative and have a lot more humility and gratitude about it because there are a lot of those who aren't doing it anymore for whatever reason. But for us, for there still to be an incredible, humbling, overwhelming demand. I mean, even going back to New York on this particular trip, I was really amazed at the turnout at the park. It was packed, and that's a huge park. And, you know, we needed police security to make it through the crowd and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy in a good, grateful and thankful way. But I have family in New York. I'm a grandfather, so I have a granddaughter there, and you know, son, and all of that good stuff. But to perform, you know, we don't take it for granted. You know, I still get butterflies, bats, whatever you want to call it, but that's a good thing. You know, it's almost like riding a motorcycle. They say the day that you get on a motorcycle and you're not scared to get on it is the day you should stop riding a motorcycle. So I think the same thing with performing. The day that it comes where you don't have that
nervousness,
some degree of nervousness, because you're respecting the crowd with it. You want to please them. You don't want to get up there and like, oh, I'm gonna rock this crowd to say nothing. You know, no, you don't want that attitude. That's not a good attitude.
Now, I was watching a video and you were saying that you guys actually...
You seem to watch a lot of videos and stuff. You got a lot of free time on your hands. I'm just messing with you. They don't call me play for nothing. I'm playing around. Go ahead.
You guys actually went on tour with NWA at a time where it was kind of like East versus West. What was that like?
It wasn't East versus West at that time. That was like, you know, a lot of people forget. They give NWA a lot of credit, and they should. They did break down barriers. But prior to that, the person from the West Coast, who was originally from Texas, but he represented West Coast and was working with Dr. Dre, did a lot of writing stuff for him, was the DOC. And he was like that first guy that broke barriers in New York and made it on regular rotation and all of that, which was a good way for people to start paying attention to what is this music? Well, who did these beats, these tracks? Where is these stories coming from? But yeah, in the movie, that actual place where they showed that concert, we were on that concert as well. The The groups that was on there was Public Enemy, NWA, Kid and Play. Who else was on there? I think Digital Underground did some dates. All of it. I'm trying to remember. It was a lot of groups. Not a lot, but it was some significant groups. But it was really a real interesting time. And knowing certain individuals the way I knew them and still know them today is really interesting to see what everything evolved into.
Thinking back on our tour, what moment or particular performance sticks out to you?
What was funny was it was a particular in the South. They wasn't crazy about cursing or dry humping the stage or any of that Bobby Brown activity. Because some would look at it as is that we had to go to one of those cities, so they had warned us that if there was any cursing or any humping on stage or whatever, we would be arrested. So there's a part in Kid and Play's record called Getting Funky, where we say, "Don't even mess with me, we're getting funky." But on the tour we was going, "Don't even F with me, we're getting funky." And that's what they were used to us saying on it. So when we went to this town, we ended up saying, "Don't even mess with me, we're getting funky," because everybody wanted to go who was going to challenge the cops and defy the law. So from that point on, every time we saw Easy and Dr. Dre and they'd walk by and say, "Don't even mess with me," they would always tease us about that. So that was one of the things I remember a lot with those guys. But we all had a lot of fun, and we were all then, even at that stage of our lives, we were really appreciative in our own kind of way of like, wow, we are doing this. We are out of our hoods. We are traveling the world. We are seeing things that we didn't think we'd ever get a chance to do.
During that time, did your music transcend with the West Coast?
Yeah.
Really?
No, I mean, we was out there quite a bit. If memory serves me well, no one did Arsenio more than Kid and I. No one did Soul Train more than Kid and I. That's a fact. And, you got to be wanted out there to do that. We did a lot of shows and stuff out there and all of that. People's favorite, whatever, as Bernie Mac would call it, happy rap,
Wow. So, Trent, just moving away from your music for a second, you actually ventured off into teaching.
Mm-hmm.
How did that come about? Is that something you always wanted to do?
You have to ask God that. I'm an individual that got kicked out of 5 high schools in New York. So I barely got my GED. I fondled and flirted with some things that normally wouldn't have me sitting here talking with you today. But I did end up learning from those decisions that there were consequences. So fast forward a little bit, it just came to a place in my life, based on my relationship with my manager, my accountant, my lawyer and agent, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, is that I owed it to those who thought, like if people heard my testimony prior to that, it was like, wow, Play didn't go to 5 high school and he ended up, doing this and making movies and marrying this person and driving this and going here, going there. I don't need to go to school. And that's not a message that I felt responsible for leaving out there. So for me, I might not be able to tell you what to do to make it, but I can sure enough be able to tell you what not to do, out there. And I feel that people, need an education to be very well informed in regards to what they think they want to do or what they will end up doing,
I'm curious, what courses do you actually partake in?
Hip hop, believe it or not.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was in North Carolina Central University, when I was in North Carolina in Raleigh-Durham, I was invited to Chancellor Ammons, James Ammons at the time at North Carolina Central University, gave a big, with Sharice Malachi, they gave a big hip-hop summit. And I was invited to it. They heard I was in town and I was invited to it. And after the event, he gave a luncheon, and it was so funny because I wasn't familiar with the word or title chancellor. So I'm one of those people that like to play the back. So I sat near the kitchen, at the table near the kitchen. So the woman walks up to me and says, "The chancellor would like for you to sit at his table." So I'm like, what the heck is a chancellor? So I'm like, it sounded important. Right, so I went there. So we ended up going there, and he was a very nice man and just was very inquisitive about how this part in this movie was done and how's this person and this, that, and this. Then he wanted to see me for another lunch after, and he had shared with me a vision he had about having an accredited course in hip-hop studies, and would I be interested in being a part of the course. So he made it happen, and I've been involved. I'm bad with years, but it's definitely been maybe over a decade now. I've been very heavily, and I've spoken at Stanford and Duke University and all of the high-end universities and colleges and HBCUs and all of that kind of stuff. But I'm a big advocate for education. It's very important to me for others.
Course when I was in school.
Yeah.
What do you break down in this course?
You know, it's so funny. For those that weren't really crazy about it, they thought it was a course that was about teaching people how to rap, and that was the furthest thing from it. You know, for me, it was about getting into the history of it, getting into the spirituality of it, the economics of it, getting into how it even came about, how it related to people in their lives. A gentleman by the name of Robert Moses. If it wasn't for him, I don't even know if hip-hop would have existed. He was the one that created the Bronx Expressway and the Bronx, that created a division between the have and the have-nots, and then the disparity, and with President Ford and New York going through their whole financial crisis, they were taking the monies out of the after school programs and for the arts in the schools, and it just created this, you know, this desperate sort of situation. And in New York, you had the major problem with the gangs and all. Mm-hmm. So when you had the music, I mean, I could go into it, you know, but I'm just kind of, you know, editing a lot of it right now.
At this point, you're kind of like a connoisseur of hip hop. So I have to ask you, nowadays, a lot of artists complain about radio play and fostering relationships with DJs. Do you think now, in a time where we have Spotify, Apple Music, and so many other streams, that artists should be concerned with that still? Is the radio still that important? I might not.
Well, it's all about exposure. It's about your music being heard, and where do you go for people to hear that in an era that I consider to be, a very golden era of hip hop, which was your late 70s, 80s, and 90s. Some people might have a problem with that era because it was controlled. It was a monopoly. But I think, in my opinion, I think it was better because sometimes too much is just that. It's too much. So it's like things are like all over the place. At least with that, it was controlled. It was like it created a strong vibe of demand and anticipation. You know, that was a great thing about celebrating Ralph McDaniels. His show showing the new music videos was at 4:00 on Friday. Mm-hmm. People couldn't wait to get home on Friday at 4:00 to hopefully see, their favorite song now being a video. And it was so powerful that if you missed it at 4:00, that show would repeat on Saturday morning at 8:00 in the morning or something like that. But you wanted to see it so bad, but you hung out all night on Friday. So it was really an eyesore to wake up and try and catch it just to see that music video. You don't have that kind of demand or that kind of desire, thirst anymore, because now you just you see it when you want to see it. But let's be honest with ourselves when it comes to human nature. Do you appreciate the jeans that are easy to get or the jeans that are hard to get, and you go all over the place to try and find them and save up money to get them and all of that kind of stuff? So it's like, sometimes I think when you're dealing with the music and things today, it's too accessible. It's not creating a situation where it's like you got to earn it and it means something when you finally get it. It's just me,
So what advice would you give to artists out here just stressing about radio play and just arguing with DJs?
I don't know. I really don't know. I really couldn't say. It's always about being unique. It's always about game changing. It's always about, the bottom line is your music good? And is it relative to mass audiences? So if you have that on lock, you're off to a pretty good start. But yeah, it is unfair when you have gatekeepers and people who are kind of blocking your artistry. There's a gentleman that a very good friend of mine and I work with. I try my best to help him with advice. His name is Oheni Savant. He's been struggling with wrestling with that for a while, but he's finally getting a breakthrough done. Matter of fact, I'm so proud of him because, due to his patience and we being patient and stuff, just recently, he was sought after and beckoned by Dr. Dre himself. So he flew out to LA and went to his spot and called me, "Hey man, I'm here," and all that kind of stuff. I was really happy for him because those things, but it's perseverance, and just being able to just hang in there. And if you really believe in what you have, and it's not about doing it for all the wrong reasons or frivolous reasons. I always wanted to say that word. It'll work out. Because I started out at the age of 16, I want to say. things didn't happen for me till I was like, if memory serves me well, 28. So that was a long road.
So you and Kid didn't take off until you guys were 28.
In our 20s, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm just talking about my journey prior to him, So it's yeah, it was a long which way. It was plenty of times we wanted to give up. Times when I wanted to give up, he made me hang in there. Times he wanted to give up, I made him hang in there. And things happened for us. Well, I won't say it happened where it blew up overnight. It happened maybe a couple of days when I quit. I was working at Burger King. He was coming with me. He had decided to go to college and become a lawyer. He was going to Herbert H. Lehman College.
Be a lawyer?
Well, that movie Class Act, the reason why we did it is because it's a lot like us. It was our true story, really, really close. I went ahead and got a regular job because I did McDonald's, Burger King, I did construction, I did all kinds of stuff. It wasn't no overnight success. Anyway, we're walking down Astoria Boulevard in Queens, New York. He's coming with me to go pick up my check from Burger King. I had great eyesight at that time. I'm looking up the street. I'm seeing an old childhood friend of mine moving a couch. His name was Lenny Brown. And you ever have one of those days where you see somebody before they see you, but you really want to see them? So you either start walking slow or you go another way where hopefully they won't see you. Well, that's where I said, yo, man, just hold up, saw a pace. Hopefully when I see him carrying his couch with somebody, let him go up to where he's going and hurry up and go by the door so he doesn't see me. Well, my timing was off and he caught me. So he's like, hey, man, what's going on? Yeah, we talking, And he goes, yeah, man, I hear you in this rap thing. And I lied because I had given up. I wasn't rapping anymore or trying to. And I said, yeah, we're doing a little something. He said, well, yeah, me and my peoples, man. You remember Richard Ahi? I said, yeah, there was another childhood friend. He said, yo, man, we've saved up some money and we want to invest it. We want to make a rap record. And this was huge at the time because nobody was making music like you make it today. So I'm like, he has my ears. And he goes, yeah, man, and we got some connection. Come to find out, I didn't know. I thought he was a moving man. I was judging him. He wasn't a moving man. He was helping his girlfriend move into an apartment he was paying for, and all of that was like on him. Come to find out, he was a head manager of Avis Rent-A-Car, and he was also the nighttime DJ on WBLS, which was the #1 radio station in New York. The guy who did The Quiet Storm was Von Harper. Right after Von Harper got off, his would be 8 to 12, I think it was. From 12 to like something in the morning was the graveyard shift guy. That's what he did. He was downtown Lenny Brown. So whatever record he made, he had the inside track to get that record played on New York radio. And that's what ended up happening. But the interesting thing about it is, and I always tell this story so you won't be mad at me, Lenny had an interesting shaped head. When we were little, we used to tease him and called him Lemon Head Lenny Brown. So I'm just glad he didn't hold that as a grudge against me, because when cats tease each other when they're little, it's merciless to the point where you either want to fight or cry or do both. But no, that's how things got started with Kid and I. Of course, it was more that happened after that, but that's what got
so he really helped jumpstart Kid and Play.
We weren't Kid and Play at first. We was a group called Fresh Force. And we did successful cover records. It was called what you call cover records. Run DMC had a record called My Adidas. Mm-hmm. We did a record with the same beat called My Skeezer. Skeezer back then was the term of a groupie. So we had like a nice tri-state hit. It was a hit in Philly, in New York, and in Ohio, believe it or not, in Jersey. So we also did a record, Falco did a record called Rock Me Amadeus. We covered that and it was called Rock Me. And then Curtis Blow had a record called If I Rule the World, where we had also produced some girls called the Celebrity Club, where they did a record called Girls Ruling the World. So we were getting a nice thing going, and then we were signed to Sutra Records. Okay. We were label mates with the Fat Boys. Things were running its course. Herbie Lovebug, who had became our producer, was a producer and had a big hit with Salt and Pepper record of Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick's record, The Show. Theirs was called The Showstoppers. So they became big. People wanted to know what else Herbie wanted to do. All of us were childhood friends. We had a nice momentum going, and we all came together and created a group called, a management team, a talent group called the Idol Makers. Yeah. So we had Kwame, Sweet Tea, Salt and Pepper, Kid and Play, and Antoinette, Dana Dane. That was all, the crew.
At that time, why were you and Kid doing so many covers? Did y'all think that was the way to make it at that
No,
time?
that is how you did it. I mean, Cats
Okay.
they would do cover records and stuff at that time. You know what I'm saying? But that was then. And then when we came from Sutra to go over to Select Records, because of contractual and stuff, we had to change our names, brand, fresh new start, all of that. And that's when Kid and Play was born.
Wow. Okay. I have to get back to your teaching because of the HBCU kids.
Mm-hmm.
You actually taught at Miles College and FAMU, right?
Yeah.
Why was it so important for you to go back to teach at?
Oh, no, take that back. It was Miles College first.
Miles College.
Prior to Chancellor Ammons that I spoke of. Then it was North Carolina Central University. And then at one time I was doing North Carolina Central University and FAMU together. I was flying back and forth to both of them. And then that got a little rough. And then I ended up just being at FAMU.
Are you still there now?
I just finished the semester with them, but due to some very strenuous activity with Kid and Play this semester and this year, I would be killing myself to try and do both. So I'm on a little bit of a hiatus with that right now.
Now, FAMU is a school that's definitely big on music. So being on that campus, what did they teach you about music that you didn't know? Or just about hip hop? I'm
still learning.
Do the students come up to you after class and just want to pick your brain about?
Yeah, I mean, they're very inquisitive, but in this go round, I wanted to learn more from them, and I'm still studying, observing, watching, listening, and things of that nature. Hip hop is at a very interesting time right now. I wouldn't say it's good. I wouldn't say it's bad. It's just I think it's still kind of finding himself, but maybe I'm listening too slow. And maybe I'm listening too fast. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out.
What do you not like about hip hop today?
What do I don't like about it? If I had to choose something, I guess it would be like the repetition of it. It's like the last time I've listened to it, I didn't know where one artist ended and one artist began. I didn't know when that record was like over and the other one was a different one. When the era in which we're well known and, you could listen to the radio and you'd have Heavy D and the Boys, and after that it'd be some Arrested Development, and after that it would be Public Enemy, after that Big Daddy Kane, then Kid and Play and whatever. You knew when one went off. Oh, that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so, so-and-so. For me, I don't know when one ends and when one begins.
So is there any artist today that you gravitate toward that you like?
I like Childish Gambino. I like Dave East.
Okay.
Not really the content of joy, but I'm a New Yorker still, heart and heart. But Dave East, that's my dude. I feel him. Childish Gambino, J. Cole. Kanye has some moments still. I'm weird, so I like weird. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I
Do
can
any of
be
these artists reach out to you now to ask you maybe have
what's humbling is when we meet them. Another person that's really interesting was like Meek Mills, because he was like really on this house party thing for quite a while, and I finally saw him in the airport one time, and he was walking so fast and I walked by him and I said, "What's up, Meek?" He said, "What's up?" And he kept going, but his boy saw who I was, and he was like, "Yo, that's whatever." And he was like, but I was already gone, and it was just too late. And I could tell there was going to be a commotion in the airport, and I really whatever. I just wanted to. I think I spoke to one of his people and just told him that I really appreciate it, because he did a music video that the theme was house party. Then he had that. We come out, our entrance on the stage is to that, welcome to my house party, welcome to that. Then we come out to that.
I know that makes him feel good.
Yeah, if he's heard about it. When we meet those people, it's like, they're all of that, and evidently it'll be like we just finished watching House Party last night on the bus or whatever like that. So it's real cool.
This comes as a surprise to you, like you're
surprised. It is. I still, and I know some people may find this hard to believe, I still haven't accepted or come to terms to what we've achieved. I just now, probably as of this year, am comfortable with accepting the term pioneer. I'm not crazy about legend, and whenever anybody calls me, I say we're still working on it. And icon, I could kind of see. You can't get away from the haircuts. When you see the haircuts, that's an iconish symbol or whatever. Pioneer, I will accept, but legend, I have a hard time with.
And I understand that, but my thing is, you guys were the first music group to after.
That's why I accept Pioneer, because we pioneered. Yeah, that's why I'll accept Pioneer.
But do you realize that, like, after Run DMC, you and Kid were the second group to make a movie, and it's like based around hip hop?
I get it.
I feel like you'll understand eventually, but we have to move into House Party. Now, I was told Stephen Glover, which is Donald Glover's brother, is actually writing this script.
Mm-hmm.
Why'd y'all choose Stephen Glover? He's
Oh,
a
we
great
didn't choose
writer.
anything. This is LeBron's baby, so we haven't chose anything. I don't think I would. I don't think I would. I don't know if I would choose to want to be involved in it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because
Why?
I'm trying to enjoy the ride. I'm trying to enjoy the fruits of one's labor. So it's like, it's a different world. I really hope they're able to really key in on what's happening today isn't what happened then.
Definitely.
What someone would do to a house now at a party, I don't know. I don't know if it can happen. It's a different climate. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'd be interested to know what the approach is. I'm not engaged enough out there in things to be able to know the right moves or whatever. I surround myself with people who tell me that they are, but I'm not.
Role, maybe some type of.
But that's predictable. You know what I'm saying? That's predictable.
You and Kid have to have some type of.
Well, if you say so, I'll take the check.
Why not?
Yeah.
It's crazy because House Party is known for breaking in new comedians and just actors like Bernie Mac, Chris Tucker, and some other ones. But who would you like to see in this one?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I try and observe and enjoy.
So is the script done? Like how much?
I'm sure they will let us know. I'm pretty sure they will. I mean, to my understanding, what I've heard, there's been some backlash to it. As a matter of fact, I just did an interview with what may be considered the original Dr. Dre and Ed Lover that used to do Yo MTV Raps. Mm-hmm. I just did an interview with him. And boy, he didn't have too many kind things to say about even the thought of redoing a House Party movie. And I didn't understand. I heard that a nice considerable amount of people feel the same way. They're like, leave the classics alone. I'm like on the fence on that. I just would hope that it's approached and it's done in a way that just... See, the thing about why House Party worked, because it related to people and to a time that existed. So, like I said, today, take for example, did you see Superfly?
I did.
So what'd you think of that?
From a scale of 1 to 10, I give it a good 7.
Okay, have you ever seen the original one?
No, I haven't.
So there's a disconnect. I saw that one. I'm very familiar with the older one, with the classic, and I saw the new one. And much to my surprise, I liked the newer one because I knew what X.
Correct. Yeah.
He was going through that. What his name was, X. You'll remember. Anyway, the director X, Little X, he used to be Little X, whatever. But I appreciated what he tried to do. And I think he was successful in regards to taking something of that and putting it in the now. But audiences didn't feel that. They felt it was kind of unreal. I think if they saw the original one, they might understand it better. So with that kind of dilemma that he had to face, that challenge that I thought he executed well, it just wasn't accepted by the masses. I think that might be the situation they need to strongly consider with House Party. It's like, you have to, because what teenagers go through today is different than what teenagers went through then. So some people even said, why don't you just call it something on its own rather than giving it that burden of trying to live up to a classic. So I really don't know. But LeBron's our dude. I wish him well. He's been nothing but always supportive of Kid and Play. He loves him some House Party. I don't know if you remember that Allstate commercial he did. No, what was it? Was it Allstate? Yeah. That and his kids, giving them the Kid and Play haircuts and posting them up. But we get nothing but love from LeBron. So I wish him nothing but well. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get a phone call again. So, yeah.
I'm excited for it. I want to see it.
Cool.
Did your love for film start on the set? Because now you're into documentaries. Mm-hmm. Did it start on the set of House Party?
No, I've always loved black and white films. I've always been intrigued by black and white films, the great black and whites, which are James Cagney and, Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn and all of that. I was always into that stuff. I think by being involved in movies, it accelerated that, because what was always interesting interesting still to this day. I wasn't with the stars or the principals when it was time to have lunch or dinner. I would hang out on the truck with the best boys and the key grips and all that kind of stuff. And even times where someone's scene was being shot, I would be sitting more than likely right next to the directors and just kind of like, it'd be interesting. I'd have these out-of-body experiences where I'd say, like, why did I just pay attention to that, what was just said, more than that? Like, somebody said it was technical. It stuck with me, even though I didn't know what the heck they was talking about. And I'd be like, why is that hanging on in my mind more than ever? And, but no, I have a real passion for it. Yeah.
So now we want to get into your next documentary, And I Dance.
Swag.
So when can we expect the next screening?
Well, we have a special screening. It's supposed to be taking place at Florida State University on September 11th. But right now, I'm just getting, Kid and I were still doing a lot of dates and stuff, so I always got to like fit it in. But it's pretty much done. Like I say, even literally, even tangible, it's done. But it'll be February 1st at the Museum of Moving Image in New York. And all the information is on the website at andidanced.com. ANDIDANCE.com. I was so hoping in my mind, please spell this now. .com.
Before we wrap up, is there one last thing you guys would like to say about the documentary?
Shane?
I think everyone's really going to enjoy it. You're going to really get to know so much about these people who work for so many stars. And you'll hear so many interesting stories and personal stories about your favorite celebrities, like he said, like we discussed, dancers that have worked with Madonna, Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson, Prince. So you get a little more insight about some of the biggest artists in the world.
I think it'll be very inspiring too, because one of the things I definitely wanted to communicate is that, Shane speaks on quite a bit, is the power of the tongue and what you say. But I wanted people to know that none of us was born with silver spoons in our mouths. Everybody watched Soul Train on Saturday morning. Everybody got in trouble here and was scared about what the future was going to be, and came from very humble means. There's nobody, there was no guarantees, and a lot of people took chances and were places they had no place necessarily being. I don't want to advocate that, but with all that being said, it's just letting everybody know if we can do it, you can do it. And that's what I want people to relate to. Is like, because there's one interesting story, Carolyn Brown, when she saw Shane and Selena and them dancing for Bobby Brown, she looked and there was a 6 degrees of separation. She knew a friend and knew a friend and knew a friend. And her thing was, she goes, bitch, I'm going to be a dancer too. It was just that simple. And that's powerful to me for her to just see that, say that, and for it to happen. Same thing with her. She saw, our first music video, there was a girl in there that looked similar to her. People thought it was her. She told a bit of a fib to other people that was her, but it wasn't. When she said, I can do that too. And next thing you know, so just for people to know, those things still happen and can happen.
And also all the amazing things that some of us are doing now.
Yes.
I'm a television film producer. Another one of the girls is on Insecure this season. Another one of the girls is hair and makeup for Good Morning America. So many of us are doing so many
great mothers, great community leaders, real estate power brokers, all kinds of stuff. They're
Yes, can lead to so many different.
Right.
I didn't have to go to any rehabilitation center or any jail to get a special interview with anybody. Well, what was that? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, thank you guys so much for sitting down with us. Thank you.
Thank you for existing.
And we want to shout you out with your Gina from House Party shirt.
Yeah,
I love it. She did that.
Okay.
Shout out to you for the House Party outfit.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
I'll tell Tisha about you. We are still close, so I'll let her know that, she's... Yo, what's really good is the P to the L to the A to the Y play from Kid and Play.
Hi, I'm Shane Johnson.
And together we are producing something really special. It's called And I Dance, and you're checking it out here on Hip Hop Weekly.
Yes, you are. And you can find us on social media.
AndIDanced.com. And I danced on Instagram and on Twitter. Any other things popping off that we can be seen at besides on your social media?
You can follow me at The Girl Shane, and you can follow him at...
It's a selfish plug, shameless plug here.
But yeah, just anidance.com for me.
It's brand new.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm impressed.